Hello, hello. Come on in to Just Connect. I am Dr. Natalie Phillips, and I'm the host of Just Connect. I am hoping that the internet stays today for today's show because we have a little snowy blizzard going on here. And so I'm hoping that it's not going to cause some trouble. So, hello, everyone. Come on in. I want to just remind everyone to kind of follow me, get your notifications. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel because I've got everything that's sitting there, all the different episodes that I've done, and that will help you know when a new episode comes in. And I want to say hello to Anthony Santangelo. Good to see you. Good to see you. I don't know if you're traveling or not, but it's so great to see you here. And I'm super excited for my topic today. So before we get to that, I want to play you my little intro and then I'll be back. So hang tight.
I'm Dr. Natalie Phillips, host of Just Connect. I am an audiologist, a business owner, an entrepreneur, and a connector. This life is about connecting for the right reasons and to the right people. I believe making authentic and true connections lead to growth, change, and impacting the world.
All right. Okay. Come on in, folks. Okay. So I'm hoping that if the internet or if I look spotty, just let me know because I'm hoping that the internet and everything stays fine because we're having a little blizzardy storm here that just started. And so I'm hoping that it doesn't get all sketchy on me. But anyway, come on in. I have a really, really great topic today that I wanted to focus on because I have been just exposed to different ways that I am watching and observing how respect is learned, earned, and how we are teaching it to the next generation. And I thought it was super important to talk about it. And hopefully I want people to jump in on the conversation, put in the comments, things that you're thinking about, things or different ways that maybe you have dealt with this, whether it's in the workplace or as a parent. I think it's super important, that we recognize both, that if you're not working and you're a stay-at-home mom, you still have to work on respect and teaching it to the next generation. Whether you are working and maybe you don't have kids, you still have to work on respect too, right? So everybody has to deal with this. And, I just want to give a little bit of some backstories of why this topic was so important that I felt that we needed to talk about it today. It's because just about a week ago, I'm going to try to stay very candid. First of all, where I noticed that I don't see a lot of respect lately is number one in sports and in competition. So, this starts with the parents. I totally believe because I feel like kids learn from parents and kids are watching parents. And so, it starts as early because we're starting our kids as early as toddlers in different sports. And then you go into club teams. I was really upset the past week or two. My child, I'm not going to say whether it was my son or my daughter, is on a club team. And initially when it started, I was so shocked because I walked into the very first practice. And as I walked in, there was this mom that was standing there. And she literally said, I quote, and this is verbatim, and this is what upset me so much. This is what she said out loud to other moms, because I literally flipped my head around and I thought, who is she talking to? And it ended up being my own team that my child plays on. And this is what she said. She said, we are so terrible. They can't even blank. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Otherwise you'll know the sport. And they are worse. These kids are worse than a rec league right now. And so I thought, oh my God, goodness, who is she talking to? And I thought maybe she's talking to her husband, but maybe it's just louder than she expected. I turned around and I was shocked to see that she was talking to all the other moms that were on the team for this team that my child was playing for. And I thought, what in the world? Did I miss something? Like, when was it okay to be able to be so disrespectful? And then it comes out in the child as well. And this is what's so important. So if you're a parent, pay attention because of that, what happened was my child actually earned a reward and an award last weekend. And sure enough, the child said something because that child didn't get it, of the mom. And the mom rolled her eyes and like shrugged her shoulders. And I thought, wow, this is what that person is teaching that child. And I had to have conversations with my child about it because a lot of people also saw that attitude and just that respect. And so that made me go on this, topic of I need to talk about respect. And it doesn't only start in the club section area, either of playing sports for kids, but I've seen it at the high school area. I've seen it in the college area of how parents are so disrespectful of how coaches decide to coach. And that was one of the things that I was like, where did this come from? And what's worse is it's not only that I'm seeing it, but the kids are learning this. And so that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about the whole issue about respect, because I've seen it in sports and competitions. Another place that I've seen it is in person, face to face. And I'll have to admit, it's my own kids, right? And so what does that mean? That's probably because it's me or my husband, because it is things that children are just not born to be disrespectful, but they see it. And so I am taking my own pill and saying that I've seen the rolled eyes. I mean, how many times, for those of you who have middle schoolers or high schoolers, the rolled eyes that you get, or the sighs, or the bad attitudes about feeding the dog, about getting your homework done, about turning in your homework, about brushing your teeth, about, anything it is. And so again, this is the respectful attitude that we are teaching the next generation. And I think it's so important to talk about this and to stop it from happening, if we can. And so I think that it's really important to make sure that we are able to have these conversations, get input from other people that are on here, and learn from each other. The third place that I've seen it is I have seen it on social media. And again, I live in the social media world. You all live in the social media world because you're paying attention to me on social media. But here's where I see it, and I just don't know. And again, I would love comments on this as you guys come in here. But it's something where I don't know if it's because people think that they can hide behind a computer and typing a message or their opinion, might be a little bit more safe, but it's the respectful way that you convey your message in something like social media that is so important, that you need to start paying attention, because there are people watching and they might not do business with you, or they might not want to be friends with you, or make that business connection. So again, even though I am starting to talk about this issue about respect that I have personally seen, whether it's through sports and competition, whether it is in person, or whether it's on social media, I think it's super important to have these conversations. I'm going to pause because I see a lot of people coming on that I do want to say hello to. So I do want to say hello to Megan DiMartino. It's great to see you. My dear friend Lindsay Zikrick is here as well. Oh, Chicken Grease, Janelle Griego is here. And then my awesome accountability partner, co-author of our book, Reggie Corona, is here. Yes. Okay. So she gets these rolled-eyed moments as well, and you try to address it in the moment. Okay. Awesome. So yes. So those are the things that, whether you're a mom, whether you're in business, I think that it all kind of applies and that we can learn from each other. So for Reggie, she addresses it right in the moment that she sees it. And that's a great way to address it. All right. So I have kind of put together some different things, and I have some notes because I don't want to forget a lot of things either, but I want to actually now cover maybe why is it so important to have this respect, right? In business or in life, at home. Why is it so important? Well, I found some ways that why it's so important. Number one is because it benefits the workplace. It gives better job satisfaction. People are happier, right? It's better morale. You gain that mutual trust, that reliability, that openness, even in a relationship at home. Having that respect, that mutual respect for each other, it makes you mentally happier and healthier. So that's the reason why. That's reason number one is why. Reason number two, why is it so important to have this respect, is because of knowledge sharing. Just like this platform of this show, I don't always want to be talking to you. I want people to come on here and share what they're doing, because I think that this is the best way to connect to people, especially if you don't know them. I mean, I've got my friends that are tuning in, but if you don't know them, invite your friends and say, hey, we're talking about this now. Come in and have a conversation with us, because again, I don't always want to be talking at you. So I am keeping an eye on the comments, because I want to make sure that we get people talking and having a conversation, sharing knowledge of what maybe you did or what worked, because I think that that is the best way to learn, and the best way to make this world a better place is if we can share with each other, right? Now, at work, knowledge sharing can be kind of tricky because there are people that might think, oh my gosh, I don't want to share that because my idea might be taken. Well, if you have this mutual respect, if you have this trust in place as a culture for business, you know that trust will go both ways, and there'll be a better understanding of what role you have, as well as if you give credit, if this culture of your business is giving credit where credit is due, you're not going to have a problem with sharing knowledge, and you're not going to have a problem of growing together, because it's just that you're growing together and you're sharing knowledge. All right. And the third thing that I found out that I thought was so important, why it is so important to have this respect, and why it would benefit the workplace, is that it increases productivity and morale. So the Harvard Business Review found that $500 billion it's lost by US businesses because of workplace stress, and workers are 20% less productive. Okay. So again, I'm talking about your businesses. Everybody that's on here, that's watching, that's looking at a business. If you're not in a business and you're looking at this from a relationship or a home value, think about that. How about if your kids actually did something and it increased their productivity? Wouldn't you just love that? Wouldn't you love the morale at home? So whether you're developing a culture at home or whether you're developing a culture within a business realm, this all applies. The issue of respect all applies. All right. So now I want to talk a little bit more about how we do this, right? How do we teach this to the future? Because I feel like if we don't teach it to the future, I think that, or we need to, I'm going to change it. Instead of if we don't, I'm going to say, if we do teach this to the future, I feel like it's going to help shape the role of these generations. So whether you're a parent and you're listening to this, whether you are a coworker, whether you are a leader, I think it's important to show respect in business and in life. And these are ways that you can do it. All right. Number one, respect people's time. All right. So in business, what does this mean? It means to show up early. It means to always stay on time in a meeting. I think it's so important that if you set a time and you say, I'm going to meet you at this time, I am going to have an online meeting with you at this time. I have an appointment. I have a doctor's appointment. I'm, of course, right, in that realm. You show up on time or even earlier, okay? And then if you say the meeting's going to run from this time to this time, stay on time as much as you can. It is so important to respect people's time. Now, let's shift it to life, and let's look at how do you respect people's time in life. Very similar. Keep your appointments, show up, and stay on time, or be early. There's nothing wrong with being early and sitting there. It is your time, right? That you might be sitting around a little bit longer, but you're respecting somebody else's time to make sure that they are on time. All right. Number two, hold on. I got a comment here. Oh, Scott. Okay. So Scott Hilbert is here. Hello. Good to see you here. All right. So number two, I am going to say that respect is a two-way street. It's a two-way street, right? So let's attack business first. Business. So as a two-way street, you're going to ensure that employees are going to actually respect the business, and in turn, it will allow them to feel like their work is valued or that they're recognized. In a two-way street in a relationship or at home, same thing. When you have these conversations, when you can provide value and then let that person feel that they are valued as well, that is a two-way street that leads to respect. So that's the second way that you can do it. Number three, how we teach this to future generations is that you have to respect boundaries. So this one is a little bit tricky. So tricky in the fact that there's just a lot, not necessarily that it's tricky, but that there is a lot of information about this one. So respecting boundaries. In business first, we're going to always attack that business role first. Know your role and what you can get done under your role first, right? So again, if you don't have business or job descriptions, maybe it's time that you actually write up job descriptions, because it keeps people understanding what their role is first. Now, as a team player, if you finish your responsibilities first, you can always say, okay, I'm done. What can I do to help us move faster? Or what can I do? You look like you have a lot on your plate, so what can I do to help you? Again, respecting boundaries comes with clearly defining what your job description is, making sure you get your stuff done, and then broadening it to be a team player. That's the way that you can actually respect boundaries in business. Secondly, respect the differences of opinions of others, because that's also important. So when you have conversations, you might not always agree with what people are saying. You might not always, think that, you might think your way is the right way, but if they have a different way of approaching things, you have to respect the fact that that's another way of looking things. Respect that this is something that they might come up with, and just kind of open your mind to that. So again, like I said, it's tricky. It's not, that part isn't really talking about boundaries, but that part is talking about how you treat each other with respect, right? All right. Oh, Elizabeth Lyons is on. Good to see you. And Suzanne Miller, good to see you. Good information, good content. Thank you. You are wise in your own way, Suzanne. So if you have any other way, any other ways that we can garner this issue and topic of respect, please jump in, you guys. Please jump in and tell me how you have been able to tackle this with your team members or with your businesses or at home as well, right? Okay, so now let's go back to respecting boundaries, because we talked about the business side. Now, when we're talking about it in life, again, not everyone's going to think the way that you think, whether it's on social media. We talked about that when we talked about, how people just put all their opinions on social media. The way that they put it out there can be taken the wrong way, or it just sounds very mean, because people are typing these things and they're not actually saying it face to face. So just understand that in life, not everyone is going to think like you, and you have to be aware that different people have different boundaries, and to be respectful. And then also to be responsible. And I put that in there because I do feel that it's our responsibility to be respectful, as well as teach the other generations. And that's what we're talking about right now, is how do we teach the other generations to be respectful? All right, so boundaries is a huge one. The fourth way is to respect yourself. I put this in here because I also think it's important that as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a mom, as a parent, whatever you are, I think it's so important to know and know when to respect yourself. Well, it should be always, right? But to be okay with that, right? And to make sure that people know that your time is valuable, you are very valuable. So in business, what this means, when it means to respect yourself, is know what you are worth and don't settle no matter what people are saying. So I teach negotiations all the time. And one of the things, certain times that I've had to negotiate, I was told many different things that were not very kind about myself, to try to get me to bring my prices down, or to bring my salary negotiation down, or whatever it was. But I stood my ground, right? Because I knew that I was worth it. And so respecting yourself means that you know what you're worth. You have the self-confidence to go out and get it, and don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. You can always, on the other hand, you can always give a discount if you want, but never assume and offer a discount up front. So that is the business tip in how to respect yourself. Now, on the flip side, on the life side, how to respect yourself, I thought about this and I thought, it's the same thing with setting boundaries, because you have to know when you have to walk away from something. And that's about respecting yourself, right? Because you know your boundaries, you know your core values. I've talked about that too. If you have core values and you make decisions based on that, it's going to be a lot easier to walk away and respect yourself. And then also, I wanted to throw in, part of respecting yourself is listening and knowing when your body and your mind needs a rest, right? And so again, respecting yourself is huge, both in business and in life. So again, how do we do this? How do we do this? We talk about it. We talk about it. It's exactly what I'm doing right now. Having the topic about respect, having this conversation, if it's in sports or competition, I came home and I talked to my son and my daughter about what we experienced and what we witnessed, and how parents were acting and how other kids were acting and different things. We talked about it. We talked about behaviors that I was seeing in competition, being competitive, and just being respectful of your coaches. And if they're telling you to do something, you don't dare roll your eyes. If a ref calls a call, You do not dare argue and roll your eyes if you are the player. You know, little things like that. You talk about it. You don't just let it go, but you make sure that the next generation knows that this is okay and this is not okay. So you have that conversation, you talk about it. Identify the behavior, talk about the options and ways that you can react. So walk them through. My husband is really good at this. I have to say he's so much better than I am, but walk them through the options if you're teaching the next generation and help them understand, okay, well, if you reacted and did it this way, this was going to be your consequence. If you reacted and did it this way, you might have a better, you know, consequence or whatever it is. And so having this conversation allows us to be respectful of each other, share the knowledge, right? Learn about what people are thinking when they observe different things, and then helping them frame their mind about looking at all these options and how learning really how to react in that situation. Okay. Also having open lines of conversation really helps, whether you are a parent and whether you're in business and you're working with your coworkers. You know, having open lines of communication and being consistent in your approaches is going to be super important when you're trying to gain that mutual trust and respect. All right, these are a little bit, there's a couple more here. This one's really short. Consider legal requirements. I put that in only because some forms of respect, when you're talking about business, comes in these forms of legal requirements that you might need to put in place if you don't in your business. Policies, forms to prevent discrimination, you know, in working conditions. That's about it. That's all I'm going to say about that. But that still is part of showing respect. And then the last thing, I had to put this one here because I also think that it's important. Sometimes you just have to let it go. I have talked to a really good friend, and, you know, you have to pick your battles. Some people just aren't going to get it, you know, so there's no sense in trying to keep talking to them. Sometimes they're just trolling to get a reaction out of you, whether it's on social media or, you know, whether it's a business deal or a negotiation or a partnership or relationship, you know, and so sometimes you have to just let it go, because sometimes people just won't always understand, and it's okay. So those were some of the ways that I thought that we could spend time talking about how to have respect in business and in life. And for those of you who are just tuning in or catching this on the replay or on YouTube or wherever you're catching this, I really would love for you to chime in. I would love for you to share with everybody that's watching this, maybe what are some good examples that you have that you've gone through to teach respect to coworkers, to leaders, you know, and whether it's in business or to your spouse or your significant other or to children even as well, because I think it's important. I feel like we can continue to have these conversations about respect and push it forward, because if you believe that it's super important to do so, then I think that we can all learn from each other and continue this on, and we can change the future by sticking together and saying that this is an important topic to talk about, which is respect. So I am so thankful that you guys tuned in and that you were watching, and hopefully, if you have anything to share, please share it. And I will see you next Monday, 5:00 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Just Connect with another topic, another new topic. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in. All right, bye.